Hi, I'm Bramses Xalyxys, and I am a musician, songwriter, composer. And today I'm going to be talking about my musical project. To begin with, TAOTBDW. It is a story that I have been writing for a long time. But since I'm a musician, a guitarist, I had a great idea to create a story and tell it through my music albums. I was creative and decided to create a song for the story and dedicate it to the story. All songs will have an exclusive title of the story. It also has a chronological order and event from beginning to end. All this will be carried out in all my music albums from the beginning to the end of the story. The story will be narrating in my music album or separately. Imagine that this is a video game or movie series, and instead of seeing it on the screen, you will follow it and can enjoy it in a narration that will be included in my musical albums, obviously with the songs. In this project, I am the composer, songwriter, scriptwriter, and original creator of all the music and story content. I am the bassist, guitarist, and I compose and write the drums and the piano using a MIDI programming, and then hire a session musician to play the drum and the piano that I compose, roll, and program it to obtain a completely real sound. Since I like it more. I also hire the vocalist. I am in charge of explaining what the lyric will be based on my concepts. In conclusion, I invite you to be part of the story. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and I hope you like my story, the characters, the style of music, and the songs. My intention is to create a completely creative and fun environment about music, script for movies, series, and video games. If you are a screenwriter, a metal rock musician, a fan of action, fantasy, video games, etc., series follower, and you like the story, this community is for you, and I welcome you. I also welcome the general public. The story is about an army of dragon wolves who seek a leader to be dominated on their planet called Vortex. These dragon wolves want to meet, defend, and protect their true creator, the mysterious water. The first leader of Vortex, called Giant, has half of that army of dragon wolves called Jagrid. Giant's desire is to meet the other half of that dragon wolf army in order to unite them with his army called Jagrid and create. Giant's mission is to find Xalyxys, an evil warrior full of envy toward Giant, who wishes and dreaming of taking away all the power and leadership that he possesses and leading and dominating the Vortex world. Giant wishes to expel him from the planet Vortex so that he does not continue to harm the living beings of Vortex and cannot seize their leadership, since if he manages to do so, it will be the end of all Vortex. It is said that Xalyxys has a brother and took everything away he had from him. In the past, Xalyxys turned his brother into a ruthless and vengeful being, full of evil and betrayal. The main objective of the leader of Vortex is to defend his planet and firmly maintain the legacy of his ancestor. On the planet Vortex, they fight to know who is the creator of the Vortex world, and that is where the new life will be born, in Madaxanum Island. Madaxanum Island is one of the places of the story. Guitar and bass. I am a guitarist and I also play the bass in my musical projects. Piano, cello, and violin. I learned to play the guitar at home. Many people judge this type of learning and tend to laugh when you tell them that you learn at home. But I can tell you that it can be done very well at home. I learned at the Rock House method. My Rock House teacher were Michael Batch of Wilfred Valentine, Robert Arnold, Rock House creator John McCarthy, and Alex Eliho of Children of Bottom. I'm a big fan of Children of Bottom. My favorite guitarists and influence are Michael Bash. Very grateful to Michael for teaching me Rock House. I remember when I first bought Rock House programs, it was very exciting to know that I was going to learn with one of my favorite guitarists. I also remember when Pat say on the DVD, just keep going, don't rush. Someday I hope to see you on a stage. That for me was very, very motivating in my life. It was very difficult at first, but here I am taking Pat's advice. Other guitar player that I like is Michelangelo Barrio. I don't know how this man can play two guitars at the same time without making mistakes. It is something amazing. One of my favorite songs of Michelangelo Barrio is No Boundaries. Other guitar player is Xalyxys. I've always been a fan of Children of Bodom since Xalyxys was my great inspiration in metal. I always saw him playing a different way and those solos incredibly difficult to memorize. And for me, he has my great respect as a musician. This is Xalyxys. Other guitar player that I like is Matt Heafy. I met Matt Heafy in a video on Guitar World playing the song Forsake Not the Dream, one of my favorite songs. From that moment I love it as a guitarist and also the song. I decided to look for the band and that's where I paid more attention to Trivium and ended up falling in love with the band. As a vocalist, I think they are one of the best voices in metal and I really like their humility. Okay, other guitarists that I like, that I love it with all of my heart is J-Pete of Black Veil Bride. J-Pete means a lot to me since being music producer, guitarist, and sound engineer. I remember when I first heard the song Pulverizer, I had a heart attack when I heard J-Pete playing some good metal. Jake has my respect as a musician, producer, and audio engineer. I also think he made excellent songs, both on a technical level and on a production level. Among others, Jeff Loomis, John McCarthy, the creator of Rock House, Rob Arnold, Ross Colley, Doug Marks, the creator of Metal Method, Matthew Bullet for Valentine, Jinx, Black Veil Bride, Zach Wild, Steve Stein, Corey, Trivium guitarist. I have many influences. I have many influences. My favorite style, genre music, heavy rock, hard rock, heavy metal, thrash metal, power metal, metalcore, symphonic black metal, bands like Dimmu Borgir, and death metal. I like death metal. I like the heavy stuff. My favorite bands, okay, Trivium, Children of Bodom, Amon Amarth. I'm a big fan of Amon Amarth, Black Veil Bride, Bullet for Valentine, and Breaking Benjamin. There are so many that I forget the names. I relate to most of the great music genre. I had a lot of acoustic guitar in the past, but my first guitar was $200, a Behringer. Jackson and Dean guitars are the ones I use currently. Medieval music, Celtic music, fantasy music, and film music. I like the cinematographic music. My favorite game is Devil May Cry. Among others are Ninja Gaiden, Mortal Kombat, Soul Calibur, Killzone, Call of Duty, Resident Evil, Spyro, Star Fox, God of War, Need for Speed. I like those types of games that are action, adventure, fantasy, and racing. PlayStation. I have always bought PlayStation in my life. One day I recorded a song and gave it a title. It had a lot of songs. My intention was only to distinguish it from the other songs, to be able to find it in my documents more easily on the computer, an MP3 audio file. In the title of the song, I have given it a name as if it were a character, and I really liked that name. The name of the song was Death of Gregson. I liked the name Gregson too much, and I thought that if one day I released that song, people will ask, who's Gregson? At that time, I just say to myself, don't worry, you are not going to release that title, it's just to distinguish the song from so many you have. But I got to thinking and wanted to use that title for one of my songs, but I also wondered, there is no point in giving this title to a song if Gregson does not exist and I do not know him. This is where my imagination started to run, and I say inside myself, I'll do a story and one of the characters will be called Gregson. I started reading the story and it took me more than 4 months to write it, and I still have to write more and more. When I sat down to review and read the story, I say to myself, now I can put the title to the song. The story is ready and there is a character named Gregson, which I can dedicate a song to. I realized that the title of the song also could not choose it for a song, since Gregson does not know if he will die in the story or not. Obviously, I know what will happen in the story, but I have to tell you that I don't know if he's going to die. I cannot tell you anything because if not, they will find out everything that happens in the story and it will damage the emotion. I remember once a conversation with my father, and he told me the story of his father, my grandfather, who was in the Second War and was a very suffering person. At that moment, when I remember the conversation, my mind exploded with ideas and imagined a war and my favorite animals, the wolf and the dragon. This is where he was born and invented the title of the story, called it. Okay, back then he already had the character, first name Gregson. I was creative and made up a completely different story. I wanted to make my first album a little rocky with a heavy sound. I heard a lot of metal bands that have come out new, and metal is always the most present, and that is amazing. I love and respect metal, but I think heavy rock needs to be given a chance as well. That's why my first album is more rocker. Okay, but in my songs there will never be a metal element missing. I love metal. I think if I have the opportunity and the support, I can make my second album more aggressive and continue the story on my albums. Here's a little demo of what my second album will be like. COVW, yes. It's a chapter from the beginning of the story. It symbolized the beginning of the planet Vortex when the mysterious water was able to create it. Channel that I like, JP's channel, Ryan Bruce, Fluff, JFT Production. Okay, this channel is in Spanish, JFT Producciones. EMGTV, Guitar World, Brandstar. Yes, I think about doing the second part of the story, but I don't promise for now. I'm thinking about it, since it is difficult to invent with all your imagination. I am also planning on sending to create the next character in the story so that my fans can see who are the characters in my story. I choose the company Cavalry Games because their designs and drawings caught my attention. Since it is one of the best video games companies, I have also had the opportunity to be in contact with them. Cavalry Games offers you the best customer service with amazing kindness. I was looking to find this company and collaborate with one of the business developers. The manager, named Alcipenko, and being in contact with this manager was the best thing that ever happened to me. I felt very comfortable.